Who goes first here, Nicholas? You or me?
You, sir. Just the
Okay.
floor is yours.
Good to be with you. I don't want the floor. I got to clean it and all that stuff. Forget it. My name's Kent Hovind. I've been a Baptist preacher 49 years. I taught high school science and math for 15 years. And I moved to Pensacola back in 1989. And the neighbor kid said, "Would you like to take the newspaper?" I said, "No, I don't have a parakeet." But anyway, he kept throwing extra papers in the yard. And they had an article came out in one that said dinosaur bones from Montana are found from 80 million years ago. So I wrote my first ever letter to the editor. I said, "No, these dinosaur bones are from one that drowned in the flood. The world's only 6,000 years old. And dinosaurs lived with man all through history. They called them dragons and killed most of them." And they published my letter and started a war in the newspaper in Pensacola, which finally led to the university there asking me to come debate one of their professors. So I had my first ever debate, 1989, on dinosaur creation, evolution, and dinosaurs. I defend the Bible as being scientifically accurate, and the earth is not billions of years old. Had another debate last night. That was number 333 for me. So I'll take any questions your people have there, but I do defend the position that the Bible is absolutely accurate. How old is this earth anyway? Well, they just came out with a new article, puts it at 26 billion years old. They doubled the age of the earth just overnight. Jesus said in Matthew 19:4, "Have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female?" Jesus said the creation of Adam and Eve was the beginning. Was Jesus lying? Was he stupid? Mark 10:6, same thing. He claimed the creation of Adam was the beginning. Mark 10:6, from the beginning of the creation, God made them male and female. He's the one who did it, so he ought to know how old it is. So the Bible says nothing died until Adam sinned. By one man, sin came into the world, and death by sin. In Romans 5, 1 Corinthians 15, same thing. By man came death. So the beginning was when God made Adam and Eve. The Bible says nothing died until Adam sinned. And it says in 6 days, the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is. The question isn't, what does it say? I mean, it's obvious what it says. Do you believe what it says? The first man, Adam, was made a living soul. And Eve is the mother of all living. So you put all the Bible verses together and you say, okay, this book teaches that the creation of Adam and Eve was the beginning of the world, which means dinosaurs had to live with Adam and Eve. I'll show you in a minute. It says Adam lived 130 years and had a son and called his name Seth. Seth lived 105 years and begat Enos. Enos lived 90 years and begat Canaan. So being a math and science teacher, I made a chart of all the dates that are given in the Bible. And we can send some to you if you want some there for your place. If you look at the chart, you'll see very clearly, before the flood came, the people are living to be 900 years old. Okay, well, I taught biology for 15 years, and it's a simple biological fact. Reptiles never stop growing. Snakes, lizards, turtles, tortoises, they never stop. What would happen to a lizard if he could live to be 900 years old and never stop growing? They'd get really big. Dinosaurs lived with Adam and Eve. They did not live millions of years ago, and they were all friendly until after the flood, when God said to Noah, now the animals are going to be afraid of you. After the flood, you can get more dates in Genesis chapter 11. If you want to get those numbers out of chapter 11, make a chart. It adds up to the world being about 6,000 years old, not billions of years old. And in my videos, I go through all kinds of ways to prove scientifically the earth cannot be billions of years old. But the textbook says it's billions. The Bible says about 6,000. Somebody's clearly wrong. And they used to want to start with the Big Bang, say a dot of nothing exploded. I think it's dumb. This one says here, the current universe came into existence 14 billion years ago from an infinitely dense point. How big is that? Infinitely dense. So, space.com, February 2022. They said, a space telescope said there are 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe, 10 times more than they thought. This is not a rock. This is a whole galaxy full of stars, 2 trillion galaxies, all fit into a dot. How can anybody be that dumb to believe that? 100 million stars in the average galaxy. And they say 13.772 billion years ago, it all exploded with a big bang. I debate these guys all the time, and I'll take any questions anybody's got, but this is so insane to believe such a thing. It's crazy. What happened before the Big Bang? There was no Big Bang. It's not a dud. It's a big dud. Anyway, so I'll take questions from your guys there, but the Bible teaches God made everything, about 6,000 years ago. Oh, wrong side. And before the flood came, the people lived to be 900 years old. That's what it says. And so this is the age of dinosaurs with Adam and Eve. Noah would have taken them on the ark, probably babies. I would think at 600 years old when he went on the boat, he'd be smart enough to figure out, I should bring babies of everything. Why bring big elephants? Bring babies. They eat less, they poop less, they sleep a lot more. And after the flood's over, they're going to live longer to make more babies, and that's why you're bringing them. So I think he brought babies of everything, including dinosaurs. And after the flood, when the lifespans dropped off and people couldn't live that long anymore, some of the reptiles went extinct. Some of the big ones, they couldn't live long enough to even make babies. And others were hunted to extinction by man. And this may sound crazy, but I've done a lot of research. I think a few dinosaurs are still alive, like Loch Ness Monster, Lake Champlain Monster. There's one in the Congo swamp in Africa called Mokele Mbembe. Anyway, so what questions do you guys have? I hear them all mumbling there. They got some issues, Nicholas?
It'd be easier for me.
I got one, sir.
I got one. When did we have to start eating meat? What, or did Adam?
If you read Genesis chapter 9, no, God told Adam and Eve to eat fruit, vegetables, and seeds. He said all the animals will eat plants. Read Genesis 1, 2, and 3. Then after the flood in Genesis chapter 9, when they got off the ark, God said, Noah, now the animals are going to be afraid of you, and now you can eat meat. Chapter 9, verse, open it up here, but you can look at it yourself. So the fear of man did not come on the animals until after the flood. Let's see. Genesis 9, verse 2. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, and upon the fish of the sea, and to your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb. So things changed after the flood. They're allowed to eat meat, and the animals became afraid of man. Okay?
Corey,
Yeah.
come on. Come back here so he can hear you. Hold on, we got another one, Doc.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Okay, in Job 41:1, can you describe Leviathan? Is that a dinosaur?
I certainly believe it is. I did a video series on just that one, if I can find it here in my special messages. Do you see that? Leviathan, the fire-breathing dragon in Job 41. God described this creature to Job. He starts off the chapter. God says, behold, now Behemoth in chapter 40. And then it says he made him with him. If you read Behemoth description in chapter 40, it's talking about a patasaurus, long neck, brachiosaur, or a patasaur. But Leviathan, the fire-breathing dragon, in Job 41, certainly it says it could breathe fire. Now, I cover on my video some of the different ways animals could have breathed fire. There's lots of different chemicals. You put them together and they explode on contact. It could be they had two. The bombardier beetle, type in bombardier beetle. They spray out two different chemicals and burn their enemy. When somebody tries to get behind them, they burn them. So it can be done. And I cover that on my video called, I can reach it right here, Leviathan. Yep, there it is. There, Leviathan, the fire-breathing dragon. And Nicholas, if you don't have this, just call my office. We'll send you one for free if they want to watch that. All the scientific explanation and the biblical explanation. I think it's probably extinct, whatever it was. That would be one. You'd be a hero if you could kill one of those. So they probably exterminated him. You think if we kept populating without sin, we would have gone live on other planets? No, I don't think any of the other planets are anything close to habitable. This Earth that we're on is only 3% habitable right now. 70% is underwater, and 10% under ice, and another 10% desert, and a bunch of mountain ranges. So I think most folks agree that the current Earth we're standing on is about 3% habitable for humans. The Bible says in Isaiah 45, God formed the earth to be inhabited. That's why he made it. I think before the flood came, the world was very different. Most of the water that's now on top in the oceans used to be in the crust of the earth, and you could walk from North Pole to South Pole. The reason we have seasons today is because the earth is tilted over 23.5 degrees. And as it goes around the sun, we get winter and sometimes winter and summer. They switch back and forth with the south of the equator. That would not be the case if the earth were not tilted. If the earth were straight up and down as it goes around the sun, it'd be springtime all the time, everywhere. North Pole, South Pole, everywhere. I think that's what it was originally. God designed it to be inhabited. So I think there's plenty of room. He said to Eve after they sinned, I'm going to greatly multiply thy conception. What if it was only possible before the flood? And before they fell. What if it was only possible to have a baby once every 100 years? As opposed to now once every month, they could theoretically get pregnant. And that's just one option to consider. Okay, good question.
There we go.
Do you believe that like physics science correctly solves murders?
I didn't hear that. Do I believe that what?
Forensic science correctly solves murders by the date and time?
Well, they try to correctly solve murders. I love forensic science. I love science, but evolution is not part of science. Evolution's a religion that they believe in. So you can solve murders with. Go ahead.
The second part of that is forensic science. 90 or 9 point something is used. They use carbon dating in it. So, and that's what they use the.
All right, good, fair question. Let me get slides open for that one. My whole video series is 18 hours long, and I cover all this stuff and a whole lot more. The problem with carbon dating or any dating method, I'll open it up here. There we go. There. Carbon dating. I cover this several times in my seminar. If you walked into a room and found a candle burning on a table, and I asked you the question, when was it lit? Well, let's do some empirical science, or forensic science as you're calling it. Let's measure the height of the candle. We can measure the height of the candle accurately, depending on what kind of ruler we use, and we could get a micrometer and get down to the nearest bazillionth of an inch, okay? Let's say the candle is 7 inches tall. We all agree, nobody argues, that candle is 7 inches tall, okay? Does that tell me when it was lit? No. Okay, let's do some more forensic science. Let's measure how fast it's burning. And we get Olympic stopwatches and we measure the candle and 50 people check it out. They all verify, yep, it's burning 1 inch every hour. Here's our two scientific facts nobody's going to argue about. It's 7 inches tall. It's burning 1 inch an hour. Simple question. When was it lit? I don't know. I'd have to make some assumptions. That, of course, takes you out of forensic science. How tall was it? Was it 8 inches tall? Then it's been burning an hour. Was it 2 miles tall? We don't know. Has it always burned at the same rate? Now, with carbon dating, this guy said radiometric dating would not have been feasible if the geologic column had not been erected first. Back in 1830, they made up the idea that all the different layers of the earth are different ages. And I'm constantly asking atheists in debates I do, I said, guys, you understand this geologic column you're teaching does not exist anywhere in the world except the textbook and the imagination. And if the top layer is younger, I got a very simple question. Where did it come from? Outer space? The layers are not different ages. On my video number, when I do the debates, I cover this quite often, but let me just open that one up. It'd be quicker if you'd ask the questions in the same order that I got my slides. I got 50,000 of them here. But just kidding. Let's see, debates, here we go. In the debate last night, I kept asking the guy, look, you're claiming the layers of the earth are different ages. I would like to know, where did the top layer come from? It's just not logical to say the top layer was sitting around in outer space for millions of years before it landed on the Earth. And if it only moved from here to here or here to here, that doesn't change the age of it. Also, all over the world, they find petrified trees standing up, running through all the layers, called a poly, meaning many, polystrata fossil. Well, dead trees only stand around for a couple of years and they fall down. But petrified trees in the standing position have been found by the hundreds, maybe even thousands all over the world. There's me by one in Yellowstone National Park, petrified trees standing up. It's not like one would prove the point, but thousands really proves the point. The layers are not different ages. The whole geologic column was made up in 1830. It does not exist anywhere, and that is the Bible to the evolutionist. But if you want to date a fossil with carbon dating, if I took this clam to a university and said, can you carbon date this? First question they would ask, where did you find it? What difference does that make? Well, we have to bracket how old it is based upon what layer it came from. So they actually date the fossils by which layer they come from. Then they date the layers by the fossils they contain. It's complete circular reasoning. I get them to admit it if you press them long enough. So, but if all you've been taught all your life is that, this, Jurassic period and Mesozoic and Cenozoic and Paleozoic, then you're going to have a hard time getting a whole new worldview. This little chart is the Bible to the atheist. They really believe the Jurassic age is, X number of million years old. And okay, well, if the Jurassic landed on top of the Triassic, where was the Jurassic sitting for 20 million years? No, this is one of the biggest lies and biggest jokes in the history of the world. There is no geologic column. It doesn't exist anywhere. The layers form sideways, not vertically, with moving water. If the moon was pulling the water up on the Earth, making a bump called the high tide, which we know that it does, okay? The moon holds that bump like a magnet, and we're spinning around. Well, during Noah's flood, the Earth is covered in water, and there's nothing to interrupt that tide. So the tide would become harmonic and begin to go up and down 200 feet, called a harmonic tide on the Earth. And this would cause, if it's going up 200 feet, where's all the water coming from to fill that bump? Sideways. The moon is constantly sucking water in from all sides, and from one side, it is sucking water in at the same speed the Earth is turning the other way, because the bump stays still under the moon, the tide. So at the equator, the Earth is turning 1,037.6 miles an hour. Here in Lenox, Alabama, we're turning 886 miles an hour. So the water would be rushing into that bump at 1,000 miles an hour for a few hours. And then as the bump empties, when it gets past that, it rushes back out of the bump. So it's the water moving sideways back and forth called tidal pumping. That moon pulling it up and down, in and out, that's what rounded all the rocks off. That's why gravel is rounded worldwide. They call it river rock. No, guys, this is flood rock. I live in a gravel pit here. We got trillions of them. Come on down. We'll give you all you want. And this is what made the layers of the Earth. They form horizontally, not vertically. Watch the video, Experiments in Stratification. There's a good video out there where they show 8, 10, 15 layers forming simultaneously horizontally because the water's moving. Anyway, I'm sorry I took so long on your question, but does that help?
Yes, sir. He's coming back in.
Okay. Oh, crybaby. The top layer came from the last deposition or volcanic event in that area that hasn't eroded away. Well, then how did it change age by moving to the top? Crybaby. So by moving it up to the top, it changed the age of it. How can you guys not see it? I don't understand. You didn't change the age of it at all. Mount St. Helens erupted and it was dated at 3 million years old. Yep. You can date you can take a lava sample from a volcano and give it to 10 different laboratories. Don't tell them you're giving it to 10 laboratories. Just do it. And say, we charge $300 or whatever to date this. Okay. Give each of them $300 or whatever they charge, carbon date this lava. And they can't carbon date the lava, they would uranium date it. But they would each get a different number. Okay, Nick, good to have you back. Any more?
Sir, can we continue on with that one question about the carbon dating? Maybe you could point out that snail that the live snail that they carbon dated and they got that ridiculous number with.
Well, yeah, they get wild dates. Let's see, I got that one right here. See that, but they've always got an excuse for it. The lower leg of a mammoth, carbon dated 15,000 years old, but the skin was 21,000. This is coming from the same animal. Two different dates off the same animal. Now, this is back in 1949 when they first invented carbon dating. Okay, well, it didn't work. How about, let's see, 15 years later? Living mollusk shells, carbon dated 2,300 years old, Science magazine. That's a long time ago. They said if a carbon date supports our theories, we put it in the main text. If it doesn't entirely contradict them, we put it in a footnote. If it's completely out of date, we just drop it. They choose the dates they want to publish. That was in 1970. Let's see, is it getting any better? A freshly killed seal, carbon dated 1,300 years old. They just killed it, and it's 1,300 years old. And they'll say, well, yeah, we know why it dated wrong. Well, if you find an animal that you don't know the age of it and you date it, how would you know it dated right? You can't possibly know that. Troubles of radiocarbon dating are undeniably deep and serious. Despite 35 years of technological refinement and better understanding, the underlying assumptions have been strongly challenged, and warnings are out. Radiocarbon dating may soon find itself in a crisis situation. Continuing use of the method depends on a fix it as we go. Contamination here, fractionation there, calibration whenever possible. Half the dates are rejected. Well, then how do you know the other half are right? No matter how useful it is, carbon dating is still not capable of giving accurate and reliable results. There are gross discrepancies. The accepted dates are actually selected. They select the ones they want. Well, that was 1981. Are they getting any better? Here we go. 1984, shells from living snails, carbon dated 27,000 years old. 11 human skeletons. All 11 were dated about 5,000 carbon years or less. Well, I would agree with that. Noah's flood is what buried the human skeletons there. Two mammoths side by side. One dated 22,000, one was 16,000. Which one's right? They both died at the same time. Which one are you going to publish? Let's see, they had the most advanced techniques to date human fossils at Berkeley, California. Erectus, they thought had vanished 250,000 years ago. But even though he used two different dating methods, Swisher kept making the same startling find. The bones were 53,000 at most, and possibly no more than 27,000. Now hold it. He's looking for a number 250,000, but he keeps getting numbers between 27 and 53. This is in 1996, not that long ago. I'm telling you, it doesn't work. Okay? The Bible says God made everything in 6 days, about 6,000 years ago. That works. There's lots of science to back that up, too. A couple of years ago, 2005, one guy lied about the age of Neanderthal skulls for 30 years. They exposed his fraud, and he resigned. About time. Let's see. One skull, they said, was 27,000 years old. They found it belonged to an elderly man who died in 1750. What happened here? One part of a mammoth is 29,000, other part's 44,000, same animal. Let's see. Problems with radiometric dating. Living penguins date 8,000 years old. Penguin. They've been around a long time. Anyway, okay, more, and I've got to start my program in 3 minutes here. Let's come back and do this again. Start early if you want, or stay through for mine. We'll have Q&A at the end. Any more there, Nick? You're breaking up bad. I didn't hear.
Sorry about that.
Just a follow up. Mine is the technology that's 40 years ago. The technology we have.
Hang on, Nick. I'm getting about 1/4, about every fourth word, and it's not making any sense whatsoever. So can you translate that to me again?
All right, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Well, while you figure out Yeah, while you figure out the tech problems, keep in mind, all of this carbon dating, potassium, argon, rubidium, strontium, lead-208, lead-206, all of it is to do one thing, to justify time. Because the evolution theory requires time, billions of years. They're trying to find a way to make the Earth billions of years. Well, let me point out, even if the Earth is billions of years old, nobody ever sees evolution that they talk about. Nobody's ever seen a cow produce a non-cow. It's never been seen. And they've never seen a dog produce a non-dog or a bacteria produce a non-bacteria. Evolution is a fairy tale. It's a religion. They believe in it strongly, but it certainly won't work without time. That's why they fight so desperately to make carbon dating or potassium argon or uranium lead work. And it doesn't work. I got many examples of that on my seminar part 7. Anyway, I got to start my program right now. But if you guys want to hang in and listen, we're studying the book of Hebrews, chapter 7 tonight. And then afterwards, we can go Q&A again, right, Joe? Okay. Thank you, Nick. If you guys want to reach me, www.drdino.com. DRDINO is our website. And my phone number is 855-BIG-DINO. 855-BIG-DINO. I'm extension 3. You can call me anytime. And our Genesis Baptist Church YouTube is where we're going on in about 20 seconds. All right.